Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that's honestly way bigger than just how a company got built. We're talking about a fundamental story of courage, real vision, and just sheer determination to create something completely new when everything around you is totally uncertain. We're going to look at the life of Kiichiro Toyoda. He was an absolute visionary who risked a guaranteed massive fortune to chase what literally almost everyone around him thought was a completely impossible dream. Okay, let's dive into this. I really want you to put yourself right in his shoes for a second. Imagine you've got this completely safe, wildly successful family business just waiting for you. You know, your life is totally set, your wealth is locked in, and your path is incredibly clear. So, would you be willing to just walk away from all of that guaranteed comfort? Would you actually risk the whole shebang to build something entirely unproven? Well, that is the exact dilemma we're unpacking today. So, to truly grasp the massive weight of this decision, we first have to establish Kiichiro's comfort zone. He was born in Japan back in 1894, and he grew up in this environment that just breathed innovation and hard work. His dad, Sakichi Toyoda, was already a famous inventor who'd built these incredibly advanced textile machines. I mean, look at the sheer scale of the factories here. The Toyota family's textile machinery business was an absolute empire. After wrapping up his engineering degree at the University of Tokyo, Kiichiro just naturally joined this thriving business. And, for most people, landing in a highly successful family gig like that would absolutely be the finish line. But instead, he finds himself at this immense crossroads. And this brilliantly illustrates the choice he had. On one side, you have the safe, totally proven, highly profitable world of Japanese textile mills. His family had already won that game. But on the other side, the rapidly rising, entirely unknown world of Western automobiles. In the early 20th century, cars were just exploding in popularity in the West. And Kiichiro, he just couldn't look away. He wanted to make this monumental, super risky leap from the safe industrial machines of the past straight into the completely uncharted assembly lines of the future. He ended up formulating this one highly controversial core belief. Japan should develop its own automobile industry. And guys, it's honestly hard to overstate the sheer audacity of this pivot. You really have to remember, Japan had zero experience in car manufacturing at this point. None. They didn't have the supply chains, they didn't have the blueprints, and they certainly didn't have the specialized labor. So, to the establishment of the time, he might as well have been saying, hey, let's go build a spaceship. Because of that massive experience gap, his vision was just slammed with intense doubt. People flat out thought it was way too difficult and way too risky to even try. So the crucial point is, how exactly do you handle that kind of overwhelming skepticism? Well, you lean in. Kiichiro crossed the threshold by traveling all across Europe and the United States. And he wasn't over there just playing tourist, right? He was a meticulous student of the industry. He carefully studied their auto factories, the emerging tech, and their incredibly complex production systems. He essentially absorbed every single detail of how cars were made so he could take all that invaluable knowledge right back to Japan. Let's just quickly anchor ourselves in time here to see how this lifelong journey actually played out. We start way back with his birth in 1894, growing up steeped in this culture of invention. Then we jump to the 1910s, where he gets his formal engineering chops at the University of Tokyo. And then, after years of overseas research and quietly, almost secretly, building prototypes inside his dad's textile company, we hit the big one. In 1937, his impossible dream officially becomes a reality with the founding of the Toyota Motor Corporation. But, and this is a big but, starting a company is one thing. Actually surviving, that's a whole different beast. Almost immediately after they cut the ribbon, the company plunged straight into a deep abyss. They weren't just casually building a new product. They were fighting a brutal, daily battle for absolute survival in a really, really harsh industrial climate. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how these problems totally compounded. Toyota didn't just hit one little speed bump. No, they faced severely limited resources, massive economic hurdles, and of course, the devastating effects of war. The pressure on them was just unimaginable. It pushed the newly formed Toyota right to the very brink of complete collapse. Actually, scratch that. They were basically staring over the edge of the cliff. All of those early critics who said it couldn't be done, suddenly they were looking very, very correct. Yet, here's the crazy part. It was exactly within these dark, pressurized struggles that a brilliant revelation sparked. Kiichiro was forced to make some incredibly difficult, painful decisions just to keep the lights on. He realized that to survive, they couldn't just be good, they had to be ruthlessly efficient. This desperate do-or-die need for survival birthed what the whole world now knows as the Toyota production system. It wasn't some fancy corporate buzzword cooked up in a boardroom. It was an absolute raw necessity, a foundation built purely on efficiency and continuous improvement just to survive that intense hardship. Let's move to and see how this builds into their actual day-to-day operations. That desperate survival strategy evolved into the famous methodology that literally saved the company. The Toyota production system relies on three absolute pillars: relentless continuous improvement, a militant focus on reducing waste everywhere in the process, and constantly, always improving the quality of the final product. By sticking strictly to these principles, Kiichiro's leadership allowed Toyota to not just survive those incredibly dark times, but to emerge uniquely stronger and leaner than anyone else. And the transformation is just wow. The difference is literally night and day. On one hand, you have the shadows of their origins, worried workers in a struggling, dark factory trying to scrape by with super limited resources. And from that, we get the glorious resolution of their perseverance, this bright, pristine, highly advanced factory driven by robotics. Those intensely disciplined systems that were forged by worried men in the dark. They paved the exact road to the automated, squeaky clean efficiency we see in the modern era. Because Kiichiro faced all those brutal setbacks and still absolutely refused to give up on his vision, the ultimate payoff is staggering. Today, Toyota stands as one of the largest, most ridiculously successful car companies on the entire planet. It's become this universal, global symbol of quality, reliability, and innovation. And it is wild to think that all of this global dominance started simply with one man's stubborn belief that Japan could build its own cars. So when you see a city filled with Toyota cars today, it means so much more than just, the morning commute. It represents a living, breathing legacy. Every single one of those cars driving toward the sunrise is a direct testament to taking massive risks. It teaches us a crucial lesson. Ultimate success does not come from taking the easy, guaranteed path. No way. It comes from having the courage to learn from others, to take leaps of faith, and to just keep moving forward even when things are brutally difficult. We've seen exactly what Kiichiro Toyoda pulled off by turning his back on a safe, guaranteed fortune to build something totally new. So I'll leave you with this. What guaranteed comfort in your own life are you willing to risk to build your own future? His legacy challenges us all to think bigger and never, ever give up. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep pushing, and I'll see you next time.